large blob of hot glue onto the middle of a flat drawer pull. Carefully place a real dried flower on top and then gently press down with a wax seal press. Then I placed the whole thing in the freezer for just a few minutes while it hardened, and I took it out after a few minutes and carefully pulled the press off. Next, I used a metallic gold marker to color the edges gold, and then I applied a thin coat of Mod Podge on top of the flower to ensure it was sealed. I repeated the above steps to make another 2 drawer pulls. Just make sure to place the press back in the freezer between each one. You want to make sure that that metal press is nice and cold. When they were dry, I attached them to a mini shoe cabinet that I refinished, and they add the perfect amount of character. What do you think? Would you try making your own flower press drawer pulls with hot glue? I hope this inspires you to get creative with hot glue and wax seals. Thanks for watching Home Talk, and see you next time.
I saw this dresser at a thrift store, and I knew I could work some magic on it. It has some gunk, stickers, and scratches all over it. So I took it all apart, and then I got to taking off them old knobs. Those definitely are gotta go. And then I got out the heat gun because I'm going to get those stickers off. Anything that's left on, you can use some Goo Gone or any type of remover and get it off. Next, it's time to sand down every part that needs to be painted. Now, normally if you're painting, you don't need to worry about sanding down. But because of all the scratches and gouges, if you sand it, you can get those out and you don't have to fill them. So go ahead and keep doing that and get it all done. And next, it makes a lot of sawdust, but it's worth getting off. Now it's time to get some good quality primer and pour it out. As you can see, I'm using a foam roller. It's going to give me a nice, smooth finish. Now, this is a good time to teach a little bit about why we use primer. A lot of people think primer is just for hiding stains, but that's not true. It also gives the paint something to adhere to. So that's why we're going to put on a nice, smooth coat of primer. It keeps that paint from peeling later. Now comes the secret to this transformation. We're going to take some pencils and cut off the back of their erasers. All we want is the wood, because what we're going to do is mark the top 2 drawers every 1.5 inches. Mark it off, and we're going to draw a straight line down the 2 top drawers. What we're going to do is take some wood glue, and we're going to glue down the pencil. Make sure the glue side is where the label is. We don't want to see that on top. There's 2 ways to do it. You can take a little brush, take that glue, put it on the pencil. Once it's on there, you lay it down. It doesn't take long for it to dry. Another way you can do it is take the glue and lay it out along the line that you're going to put the pencil down. Take the pencil then and put it right down. Either way will work, and it will hold just great. As you can see, it's holding up fine. Now it's time to put on a coat of paint. Again, I'm using the foam roller. I want to use it to make it a nice smooth finish. I want to go with the semi-gloss because it makes stains and wiping up and cleaning the dresser afterwards a cinch. Always use good, high-quality paint. Go slow, but make sure you cover everything. Don't put it on too thin, but again, not too thick. If you need to do multiple coats, which I did on this one, go right ahead. Make sure you get everything done on top. You want to make sure the outside temperature is not too hot. Now it came time to put the paint on where the pencils are. This is a little bit trickier, but use a brush and get in between all the grooves on the pencils. Now it's time to put that second coat on. Go ahead, just like you did the first, and lay out a nice thin coat. On this one, I used 3 coats, and it absolutely looked great. If you need to go 4, go for it, especially if you have enough paint. Now it's time to show you the final project. I changed out the knobs to a nice black, and look at that. This thing exceeded my expectations. Do you remember how it started off? It had scratches and stickers and gunk all over it, and look at it now. It just looks like a work of art. And I love the contemporary design of the top drawers. This project absolutely exceeded my family's expectations. I hope this inspired you to build your own upcycle DIY dresser. Thank you for watching Home Talk, and we'll catch you next time.
I printed a few images of spring flowers, leaves, and a butterfly. I'm placing those on the table and then adding a layer of parchment paper over the top. Now this is the fun part. I'm just tracing the shapes with hot glue. I want to make sure to create even lines and connect everything. Once these are dry, I can peel them off the parchment paper. The flat part that was on the bottom is what I'll use as the stamp. I want to create a back for the stamps so there's less mess. I'm just going to use a piece of craft foam and attach it to the stamp with hot glue. Then I'm going to trim down the sides so it's easier to hold. Now it's time to get creative. I've laid out the fabric and protected the surface underneath. I'm using craft paint mixed with a little bit of a fabric paint agent. This means it'll hold up in the wash. You can also just use straight fabric paint. I'm going to use these just like regular stamps, dip them in the paint, and then transfer to the fabric. You could also brush the paint onto the stamp with a paintbrush. I've created a pattern of flowers, leaves, and butterflies. Once this is completely dry, I can use it to set a spring table. This was a fun and easy way to create my own stamp. I hope this inspired you to create some for yourself. Thanks for watching Home Talk. See you next time.
The next time you want to give your tired old furniture a little refresh, grab your hot glue gun. To start, I grabbed 2 molds that I wanted to use for this project. So I'm going to start with this scroll one right here. I'm going to start at one end of the mold and fill it slowly with the glue. I want to make sure it gets into all of those little pretty details. As the glue starts to dry, I also want to go back and make sure to fill it up so that it's flush with the top of the mold. The first mold is dry now, so I'm going to go ahead and peel it out. This is really easy to do with the molds being so flexible. I can trim off any little strings and overflow now with a little pair of scissors. It's time to start on the little stand now. I'm going to give it 2 coats of a creamy white paint before doing anything else. Now that the paint's done and dry, I'm going to go ahead and add my hot glue scrolls and the circle. Some all-purpose glue on the back of each one will be enough to adhere it to the furniture piece. With all 3 pieces stuck in place, I'm going to paint them using the same paint that I used on the stand. A small brush really helps to get all the paint into those little details. Now that all the painting's done, I want to protect the paint and those hot glue pieces, so I'm going to put a layer of clear soft wax all over everything. Now it's time to bring out all the little details in those hot glue molds. I'm going to use some dark wax and a small brush to push it into all of those little details. I can use a paper towel to gently wipe off any excess that there might be. I'm going to finish up adding the wax and do a little sanding around the edges just to add some faux age, and I'll be back to show you what it looks like. What a transformation! It was so easy to add such pretty details with some hot glue and a couple of molds. I hope this has inspired you to add some decorations to your furniture and give it a makeover too. Thank you so much for watching Home Talk. I'll see you next time.